Hello, welcome to Redmen TV. It is the instant match reaction. Liverpool 1, Chelsea 1. I'm your host, Ross Chanley, joined once again by Errol Smith for this one to talk through a frustrating evening for Liverpool and for us, Errol. We're going to do it bit by bit. Starting with, you've written here in the agenda, did we get lost in the occasion early on to the game? It felt a little bit bitty, but I always feel like that's not so much the occasion, that's just how those games go, because it's kind of sussing tactically what someone's going to go and do, and it just ends up a bit of a mess for the first 10-15 minutes till things calm down.
Yeah, you're probably right in that sense. I think obviously with it being a little bit later kick-off and probably seeing some of the other results from earlier in the day, there was that opportunity there for us. I know it's only early days, we're still in August, but to obviously go top of the league and put in a good performance against Chelsea, I think they probably wanted to kind of disturb our flow and our style of how we kind of wanted to approach the game. I think they kind of done that pretty well. I think obviously aside from that Jordan Henderson early opportunity, there wasn't many clear-cut chances from three in front of goal. I think they probably had better openings in that respect, and I think we kind of, I think in terms of players, I think they probably just got under their skin a little bit, and we was getting ourselves a little bit frustrated early on. I think we started to work our way into the game. At no point did I feel like Chelsea played us off the park in open play. I don't feel like...
Well, Liverpool had two really good chances in the first half.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jordan Henderson, and I think is it Harvey Elliott with the other one. You know, as someone said in the comments that I watched along at the time, was we had two really good chances, just fell to the wrong people.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so that's, hopefully that's Salah or Mane at the end of that. You're talking about a goal to Liverpool. I think you're right. It wasn't a case of... It made for a better game when it was 11v11. I'll say that.
100%. 100%. Yeah, we will get onto that definitely.
Go on.
No, yeah. So obviously we look into the game a little bit further, and you see that set pieces. It's not been something that's been a thorn in our side for a good couple of months, really. Even towards the back end of last season, we was quite good when it comes to set pieces, but for whatever reason, we decided to go a little bit zonal, didn't we? And
I think that's one of the things that's really annoyed me. Obviously, the second half we'll go on to shortly, but I see that being picked up on Match of the Day or analysis after games.
Yeah.
And it feels like basics for me. Like, don't have someone free running inside the box, attacking the ball. Now, Andy Robertson has got his eye on the ball, but he has absolutely no idea that Kai Havertz is inside that box there. There's no one giving him a shout. There's no one. Kai Havertz is very, very tall, by the way.
Yeah.
So we, have someone on him. He's going to be a dangerous set pieces at corners, and that just, not a lot else can do about the header in that sense, but it just felt a little bit sloppy, and I'm not sure reckless is the right word. Just a bit naive from Liverpool, I think.
Yeah, and I think in terms of Tuchel's game plan, that's probably paid off for him really there. Do you know what I mean? He's probably thought, they are good like that, but if they, defensively when it comes to set pieces, but if we can hit them with one or, give them a sucker punch there, that plays into their hands, and it really did. That kind of goal, we wasn't really giving Lukaku that much up until that point.
Do you think Lukaku was the distraction for the corner, going make sure he doesn't score and taking our eye off Havertz?
There was probably a little bit of that going on. You've got quite a tall back line as well with a few. Obviously, Thiago Silva can go up. Rudiger's quite good in the air, so they have got aerial threats that they can throw up when it comes to set pieces. There wasn't a lot of free kicks for them in dangerous areas or not. No, so it does just feel like it's frustrating because it just feels like a cheap goal to have conceded at that time.
And particularly, like you said, the flow of the game was it was actually really good. It was back and forth. It was end to end. It was like you attack and then we'll attack, and they had a couple of hairy moments. We had a couple of hairy moments. It was it was all set up for a classic game in my end, a title challenge. The word I used before was context, and it's something that you kind of said before we started recording was, is it important to take into context? I'm sure there'll be loads of people at home frustrated. You're frustrated, I'm frustrated. We all are. But the fact that, this game's so early on to the season, and bear in mind we are 3 games in and we're 7 points. We haven't lost, and we played one of the title contenders at home. I understand the context of the game, but just in that itself, you mentioned before what it takes you, especially Liverpool, a good couple of months. When you start getting to November, December, and you start playing 2 times a week, 3 times a week, or playing Champions League for Liverpool to find the rhythm. So, in that sense, okay, sound, I understand, and probably in that sense I'm quite happy with the draw. But the red card, which we'll come on to now, that's what's got me frustrated. Of a full half, I know they're a resolute side, defensively well driven. Tuchel, that's one thing that he's powered into this Chelsea side of not conceding goals. But Liverpool, with the attacking talent that they have and the creative midfielders and fullbacks that they've got on display, I can't help but come out frustrated.
Yeah, and you can't, but I think that's where I'd probably give a little bit of credit to Chelsea here, and probably Thomas Tuchel in particular, in the fact that his game plan from the outset has worked. Let's try and play our game, stop it from being an open, end-to-end affair, try and get a goal in front, and then soak up more pressure, and try and obviously do what we do well in terms of defence. And then his in-game management's worked really well once they've gone 1-0, once we've scored our goal from the penalty and the second half. It's like, right, well, this half is just purely about limit the amount of opportunities we allow Liverpool to create, be really good in terms of defence, get everybody behind the ball, and if we can get nick one on the counter, we'll go for it, but let's not overly overcommit and leave them available. We only had one counter attack, and I'd probably say about in a good 60 minutes with the ball there, do you know what I mean? In that hour space after they scored to the end, there was probably only really one counter attack, because as soon as they went one up, they just said, right, we'll drop off a little bit. They didn't press as high up after that point. So it's probably credit to that, but also it's the fact that, as you were just saying there and alluding to, it does take all top sides. You've seen it in City last season. They had a shaky start to the season, but as soon as they found that gear, once they're in the gear, they just glide through because they've got that rhythm. It's happened to us in the past. Yet we might get off to a good start in the season, but it's usually just by 1 or 2-0 victories. It's not like we're hammering teams.
But was that an opportunity for Liverpool to find that gear that you're talking about? Because should Liverpool come out that second half, and I will credit Chelsea for their defensive resolution, but from Liverpool's perspective, I'm going, right, they're down to 10 men. The Reds have gone. Mendy's got a booking. Rudy's got a booking. They just lost Reece James. I know they brought on Thiago Silva. They took off Kante, which is a bit of a difference. But is that Liverpool's then to put the gauntlet down and go, actually, don't let them have the ball. Don't let them get out. Press them to death. Attack them and be a bit more aggressive in attacking?
I personally think that whole incident that happens, if that happened 10 minutes earlier, we've probably got a much better chance in that second half, because I feel as though if that happened 10 minutes earlier, we score the goal, we've still got 10 minutes to kind of put our foot on Chelsea's neck. And while the heads are all gone, while they've lost it, they've got to manage the game now, and obviously either make a quick substitution, or they just got to fill in a few holes by the players that they've got on the pitch.
They're desperate for half time.
For half time, and they've kind of got to shout the last 10 minutes. The fact that there was only about a minute 60 seconds, a minute and a half before the second half, it just allowed them to kind of regroup, settle the nerves a little bit. Right, the goal scored, it stands. He had a lot of protest. He was kicking off about it, but it was like, right, let's just kind of regain our focus. What is the objectives? When I say that was that in-game management by Tuchel that kind of just came through, where he said, right, well, he would have been happy with his first half performance, as probably Klopp would have been fairly happy. I don't think either manager would have been overly concerned that they had to change anything too drastically. I know Bobby comes off just before, but I think that was probably to do with probably a bit of an injury or a bit of a niggle.
Or the way that he was playing.
Or the way that he was playing as well, potentially. And I think from that perspective, you just said, right, we've done what I was expecting us to do. Now let's just make sure we don't end up with egg on our face, and we lose ground on these, because at the end of the day, Chelsea are gonna. It might only be August, but Chelsea are going to be here in April and May, and they want to make sure that they can preserve as much of that as possible. So I do feel that moment probably came 10 minutes too late for us to then push on in the second half. What did happen in that second half was we just had too much control, and I think that played into our hands. I think we got a little bit complacent on the ball. I think we've seen a couple of comments in the live stream where people saying, when it looks too easy for players like Trent sometimes and Robbo, they kind of drop a level a little bit because there's not that intensity. That's what I was talking
about. Intensity was the word I was looking for before, of aggression, of going, we'll win the ball back, I'll make that difference. But also, Liverpool has to be cautious of Chelsea on the counter-attack. Mm-hmm. Now, Lukaku obviously didn't get a sniff of goal. Maybe got that one chance that Matip blocks. But it doesn't take a lot for Chelsea to lump the ball to Lukaku, hold play for 5 seconds while they then commit bodies forward. Yeah. There's probably a thing in Liverpool's mentality in that sense of going, well, actually, Trent can go bomb forward, but I think Liverpool need to take those risks sometimes, particularly when I think the game was there for Liverpool to take and they didn't.
Yeah, it was. I'll be first to admit it feels like 2 points dropped, and that is the ultimate frustration in that respect. But you've got to give a lot of respect to this Chelsea side as well, in the fact that they're not novices. They're not the new kids on the block. They're not soft. These are the current European champions at the moment. Yeah. They know how to dig in deep, and they've got world-class defenders in Thiago Silva. I know that they brought Kante off, but they've got Jorginho in there. They've got Kovacic. They've got options there that can manage games when it's not going their way. And I think for them, that was that was just the be all and end all. Let's just leave here with a point, because to them that felt like 2 points gained.
Yeah, you saw it at the end
to us, you seen it on their faces and their reaction. Whereas to us, it felt like 2 points dropped. I've seen people, in group chats or in the comments saying, we didn't have anyone that wanted to run at them and commit. Honestly, that pitch looked so small in that second half because there wasn't the space. There wasn't loads of blades of grass for Mane to stand the man up and just run 10 yards in front of him, and there was space where the goal is and you could just knock a ball into it. There wasn't those little areas or pockets of space, and I think that in terms of how we managed the season is something as a team, certain individuals need to get better at, because Chelsea won't be the only team that take that approach and that style.
Yeah.
And we spoke about it last week about a template. That is a template of how to be so resolute against the Liverpool side.
But it's different when you've got... It's all right doing that against the likes of Burnley.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, it's a different quality of opponent when you do it against, like you said, the European champions. Harvey Elliott, someone I want to talk about, and you want to talk about as well. I think, lots of question marks when the team news came out. It's fine. He impressed against Burnley. I thought he was very good. He's impressed in pre-season. This was another test for him. And you mentioned Jorginho, you mentioned Kante. I can't for the life of me remember who else was in the midfield with.
They just had the two, and it was Mount and Kai Havertz.
Up top. Didn't look out of depth. I thought he backed himself. I think he still deserves credit. Might have frustrations with the game and the result that Liverpool had, but I think if you to pick out one or two bright people from the game, I think it's him and Van Dijk, and maybe Matip.
You know what? A huge credit to the kid, because he just always seems to be hungry for the ball. And there was a few times where he probably didn't make the right decision, but then he'd do that, and then there'd be another moment where he'd just instinctively make the right pass as well. So every time it was like there was something where you'd nitpick, he'd counteract it by doing something equally as good or just a little bit more than what you was expecting from him. I think it's, again, what I've put there in the agenda for this is he's probably set the bar for himself now in terms of how Klopp probably expects him to perform and how he's expecting to perform. Yeah, we would like to see a few more assists and goals, but teams that come to play footy, that those opportunities will present himself for them. Whereas Chelsea in that second half, they didn't really come to play football in the same sense. The red card, it looked as if it was going to be, there's a lot of debate about it and all stuff like that.
It was a red card.
Yeah, it was. It was clear as day. It was going to be a pen and a red card, but that seemed to be the game-changing moment for me. When that happened, it was, what mentality is it going to bring and spring out of this Liverpool team, and what mentality is it going to spring out of this Chelsea team? And Chelsea retreated and said, we'll take what we've got, we'll stick. And Liverpool just couldn't raise and say, right, well, we'll see your hand and this is what we've got. And that's probably the only frustrating thing, that we haven't got that killer instinct. But I don't expect us to have that killer instinct right now in the same sense. So it's a weird.
I know hindsight's a wonderful thing in that sense, Errol. You talking about that instinct, then I do agree with you, but also I think there's a point where you think you can be critical, or openly critical, not slagging Klopp off, but also those low block sides we're talking about when someone's unlock a pass. It's Thiago for me, and probably Navigator. Now, okay, Jordan Henderson didn't do anything wrong. Harvey Elliott, as we just said, didn't do anything wrong. And again, it's hindsight. We sat here 2-1. I'm not questioning it, but also I think there's a question to be asked there of, should those people come on a bit early? 10-15 minutes into the second half, it's quite clear what Chelsea was set up to kind of do.
Yeah.
You then assess your bench. I've raved about Liverpool having options off the bench, and it also just kind of felt a bit meh. If I'm being honest, and again, we won the game, it's fine, but I started looking, Thiago's there, get him to produce something. Henderson wasn't firing on all cylinders. Don't think he was terrible, but he has that chance that he nearly scores. Harvey Elliott, I don't think he put a foot wrong, but also if you're going to bring in Naby Keita, there's an international break coming up. Use the players that you've got. Yeah,
no, I'd agree with you there. I think that was one of the things that we highlighted, before at the start of the stream, really, is how do we kind of not only manage the game, but the options that we choose to bring in off the bench, what is their purpose and what are they meant to inject into the team? I think the Jota one was obvious. If it was, Firmino either just playing under par, or the fact that he had a bit of a hamstring injury, that's fair enough. And I think it changed the way we approach the game. Throwing them balls into the box seemed to work because it would stick with somebody then. I think when you're looking at those midfield options and trying to unlock that Chelsea back line, we probably could have done with that. And I think it's just about being a little bit braver there from Klopp. And, who are we to criticise Klopp for what he's done? But just from the evidence that we can see, that was the only way I could think we was going to get in, or we was going to create a chance. And we had one counter-attack that second half, and we just was wasteful with it. Now, that's okay to do when you've got 3 or 4 counter-attacks and you're finding your feet. But when you've got one, you really do need that killer instinct. And today, even if we wasn't going to have the opportunities to counter, we needed other ways to get through this Chelsea defence. At one point I did think it was going to be a 25, 30-yard screamer from either Fabinho or, Henderson.
Van Dijk at one point, yeah.
Or, even Van Dijk at one point. I thought that was probably going to be the route to goal, and I think the whole of Anfield would have erupted if that would have happened. It just looked as if we was a little bit flat in that midfield when it comes to trying to find that killer pass.
Yeah, just echoed someone's comments there. Said we struggle against low blocks, lack of creativity from central attacking midfield shows in big games. Danny Harty-Smith as well. I know you've just upgraded your subscription to Club Legend. I'll email you back after the show as well. Just some more of your comments. Someone was saying out of the first couple of teams, Liverpool and City looked the strongest. I think it was Danny Harty-Smith again at the beginning there, saying about 3 games, 7 points, only conceded 1 goal. And if you 1 goal you can concede is against someone who's a title rival. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to say it's all rosy and it's all good, but if let's look at the slightly bigger picture of those 3 games. Errol, again, the comments right. We haven't lost the game. Yeah. It feels like it now, because I want to sat here and go, we want 3 wins out of 3, top of the table, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it's sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, 100%. And, the season can't be won in August. Yeah. But you can definitely shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. If we're sat here at the end of the season and we missed the league by 2 points, and it's this game, you can point at it. But, now it's just about building points.
Building points and building momentum. And, we want to make sure that Anfield's a fortress again. The fact that, there's probably not enough credit for the fact that Chelsea could have been 2-0 up, and if they would have got 2-0 up, there's a chance there that it just kind of creeps through Robbo's legs and it doesn't go on target. If they go 2-0 up, they just think, right, Tuchel's game plan's working even better than we expected. Let's sit back into our shape, let's defend for our lives, and let's give them nothing. Let's not even give them a sniff. That makes the game so much harder. Yeah. All of a sudden, we end up at the game, we end up potentially clawing our way back in or losing 2-1. Anfield's not a fortress. We're not on an unbeaten run. We're only 6 points. So there are positives. It just in a game like this, you have to look a little bit harder for those positives. But it's not being blinded with red tinted glasses. It's saying, let's put things into context a little bit. The season has only just started. We spoke about it before when we looked at the table. Yeah. Nobody is free for free. There's only one team now that can possibly get that, and that'll be Tottenham. You know what I mean? When they play tomorrow. So there's still a lot of teams trying to get up to full speed. You've had the Euros, you've had other international competitions, you've had all that going on in the summer. So the fact that our team have come back in such good shape, the fact that we've got the fitness of the players that we was probably doubting in pre-season in terms of, will Naby Keita be fit enough? Will Diox be fit enough? Will Tsimikas be able to come in and do a job? There's been a lot of questions that have been answered positively in these first 3 games. We just look at a 45 period where we looked a little bit flat and say, what more could we have? Yeah. What other options in our arsenal?
And because it's so soon as well, it's like straight after the game, I feel a little bit disappointed, but I think you're right on reflection, bigger picture. I still back us to win a league, or at least be winning.
These are the people are saying Chelsea are out from favourites. If these are out from favourites, we didn't get played off the park by this Chelsea squad for large portions. I know we're at home, so we've got home advantage, but they didn't get into their full flow of football for large portions of that. People were saying that Lukaku was going to pocket Van Dijk and Matic, and that didn't happen at all.
We can say it now.
But it didn't happen. So there are a lot of positives that we can take in terms of the level that we was able to perform at today. It was just the way that the game unfolded in that event of, obviously, that if that ends 1-1 and there's 11 men on the pitch, people say that's a fair play draw.
Yeah.
It's literally because they're the man sent off, but it changes the way that Chelsea approach the game. Yeah. And you've got to give credit to a Chelsea team that are capable of defending for their lives.
Someone said it in the comments, you said it before, the red card killed the game.
Yeah.
It would have been more open, would have had more chances, could have been sat here with
I'd have happily took the pen and left him on the pitch, because I still think Salah converts it, and I still think Chelsea think, all right, we'll go again. It's 0-0, we'll go again.
Lukaku's not playing DM in second half if you have 10 men on the pitch.
Like, if you had a heat map of him in that second half, his heat map would have
been... Fabinho.
It would have been the same as Fabinho or Kante, like where he should have been. He was sitting in that pocket of space because he wasn't able to get himself further up the pitch. And when he did, he was isolated. There was that one opportunity where the ball's knocked to him, and there's oceans of space between him and Mount.
Yeah,
because they're just struggling to bring players back up the pitch. So, you know, we can kick ourselves, and we might think it's 2 points drop just because of the circumstances. But when you look at the bigger picture, all is well. You know, we're still unbeaten. Anfield, we haven't lost that. We've 3 games, we only conceded 1 goal.
Plenty to build on as well.
Exactly.
I'm going to finish on a nice note because no, I've lost it. Ruggiero says I was immersed in this match today because of Ross and Errol. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
we're going to be back for, I think it's Crystal Palace is our next home game, I think.
It,
we might have a Champions League one. Oh, we might have a Champions League duties.
Do you want to
do Champions League games?
I can do Champions
Well,
League.
there you go. Then we'll be back for that as well because we're still in Champions League.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on the game. Keep your thoughts coming. I'll get to read some of them tonight or tomorrow when I've got nothing else to do. Are you frustrated? Are you going to feel a bit different tomorrow? Let us know. Keep your thoughts coming.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the Redmen TV. And we'll see you soon. Ta-ra.
Peace.
Hey, what's happening? Competition time. Phenomenal, world-class, completely exclusive prize for you guys this month. It is a Jordan Henderson 10 years of red commemorative box. These are not for sale anywhere. You cannot buy these. It has got the book in there. It has got the DVD of the series in there. There is a t-shirt, there is a mug, there is a poster as well. It's a money can't buy prize, and you can win it by signing up to the redmentv.com, a Club Legend level over there as well, or by upgrading your existing subscription to Club Legend as well. It's as simple as that. Not only do you get that incredible competition prize, but you get amazing content streamed exclusively for you each and every month. Documentaries, features, interviews, and bonus Redmen TV shows as well. It is a wonderful experience. It's like Netflix for Reds. And yes, in addition to all that, of course, you get to join our Discord group, which is full of wonderful club legends like yourself, and enter into those competitions each and every month. Join up now, enter the competition to win the Hendo 10 Years of Red exclusive commemorative box, and good luck.